Daniel's gone, with us about, there's plenty of fun, so meet the gang.
And we're back.
We are back.
Yep.
Boys to entertain you, mate.
Yeah, and we're back. And we're back on glorious Mank Vision again. Hello, Mank Vision. And we have a very special guest this week.
We do.
We've been so excited. Because like we were going to do this a few weeks ago. And then we had technical difficulties.
And we was close to technical difficulties last night.
Yeah, we lost the Wi-Fi.
We lost the Wi-Fi
completely.
Well, we still had technical difficulties today.
Yeah, but they would have been more monumental if we had no Wi-Fi. So
we'd have all been hotspotting.
Yeah. So yeah, we have a very special guest. We're happy to have Heather Miller. I've got a brief.
Hello.
Hello, she's here. She's very quiet.
Read Heather's bio because it made me chuckle. So Heather Miller, she grew up in North Devon and she's been with her husband Robin for nearly 1,000 years. That's a long time. I thought my 30 years was good.
That's pretty long.
Has lived in a few places, 18 moves in 22 years, as it is one of the joys of being an army wife. Robin has always said that Heather would live in a palace. 2005, just at the end of his army career, he made that dream come true when he was appointed a yeoman of the guard, a beefeater. So they, Robin, Heather and their daughter Marnie and their 2 spaniels, Inky and Brown Bum, went off to live in His Majesty's Royal Palace and Fortress, the Tower of London. This suited Heather as her job was in Whitehall. She was, I believe, a cleaner for the Ministry of Defence.
I wasn't that high, it was a teenage.
We have to keep it like that.
They got used to sharing their living accommodations in the tower with the things that went bump in the night. And it was during that time that Heather found out she had a really sexy left knee. We need to dig deeper on that.
Dig deep on that one.
They were only there for a couple of years as the immigration to Canada came through, so they upped sticks and off they moved to Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, where Robin was going to retire and Heather retrained, this time as a paralegal, and went to work for a local law firm. Robin managed 3 months of retirement before he said, sod this, and joined the Canadian military, taking a commission in the PPCLI. So Heather said, sod this, and retired instead at the age of 39, the lucky beggar. They moved to Alberta in 2011. They have a small acreage, 8 spaniels and 15 chickens. They have woodland trails where their spaniels love roaming around and exploring. Their daughter, 2 countries, 2 sovereigns and 1 monarchy, and is now finishing his PhD in fire and emergency management. Heather continues to look after the home, administration, spaniels, chickens, and the wildlife, which consists of various birds, a white pigeon that's joined them this year from somewhere, lots of deer, which they buy oats for in the winter and feed a very irate squirrel. Chef, cook, and housekeeper, and the unpaid research assistant to Rob for his PhD. Welcome, Heather Miller.
Oh, well done for reading all that out. That's a biography on its own.
That was wonderful. So please, before we go anywhere, please, Stinky and Brown Bum. Why would you call your dogs Stinky and Brown Bum? I'm like...
Our last posting in Germany, we had 2 spaniels. We had Cheesy, Stinky Cheesy.
Okay.
She was a black cocker spaniel. And we had Eric.
Right.
And unfortunately, they both passed before we left. And we advertised because we said we can't be without one of our spaniels.
Mm-hmm.
And we advertised for a spaniel. And our neighbour had an English cocker spaniel who wasn't a blue roan, but he was black and white. He was called... We called him Stilton, but we nicknamed him Stinky because he looked like a stinky piece of cheese. So we called him Stinky. And Brown Bum, when we then moved to the UK for Robin's last few months in the British Army, we went out and got a English Springer Spaniel puppy. We called him Branston, or Marnie called him Branston, and I called him Brown Bum because he had a brown bum, so we called him Brown Bum. So Brown Bum and Stinky.
Well, there you go.
Who themselves became very famous at the tower because we'd walk them in the moat and the tourists were forever taking photos of them, especially the Japanese.
Yeah.
And Brown Bum used to love going in the simulated moat where Traitor's Gate is. It's only got about 8 inches of water, and he used to love diving in there for.
So he was a Stinky.
Yeah. So he'd go in there and do all this, and they'd always have photos taken of them and little videos and things.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. And then. So then your sexy left knee. Is that a story for later?
That's the story to go with things that got a bump in the night.
I kind of figured that one.
Yeah.
I figured that one.
It hasn't been so sexy since we moved to Canada, unfortunately.
Okay.
That's the arthritis setting in there.
Yeah, I think
maybe I've got a sexy knee as well. So Heather's, we brought Heather on because she reached out to us and she said she's got a ton of ghost stories. And we thought, what a great podcast we could put out for Thanksgiving. So
hence the
Halloween. Halloween.
All in black helmets. Yeah. Well,
so hopefully by the time we publish this, it'll be Halloween.
It'll be Halloween.
So we're intrigued to hear a little bit about your history
Okay.
and a little bit about the ghost stories and a little bit about you as well, because I
Alright.
believe you're an author, you're a budding author as well. So,
Yeah, trying to be.
so we want to hear a bit about that as well. So,
Where would you like to start?
well, let's start
At the beginning?
at the beginning. Well,
Yeah, many, many years ago. My mother
A long,
was-
long time ago.
but they've been married 1,000 years. I don't want to go back that far. Well,
Okay.
Okay, we'll fire some questions at you then. If
Go
you
on
want. Okay. What was the Tower of London really like? Is it as grand as you see it? Or is it better?
The only way I can put it is when you live there, the day-to-day part, you get up in the morning, you go to work, you come back. It's Monday. Well, for me, it was kind of mundane because obviously I'm leaving the tower to go to work somewhere else to come back to the tower. In the evenings, when the 13,000 people have got out of your front yard and gone away, so you can have a bit of peace and quiet, you can sit there on one of the benches, like Rob and I used to do. We used to sit, glass of wine, and you've got the White Tower behind you, which is what everybody thinks of as the Tower of London because it was the first one. It's what William the Conqueror started building. You've got that behind you, and you've got the lights shining up on it. You have to look at it. Believe it or not, with all the noise in London, you can hear blackbirds singing at night. Sat there with a glass of wine, be sort of like 10:30 at night. The ceremony keys will be over and done with, and all this. You just sit there and you look up and you go, "Wow, are we really here?" I've just got to pinch myself.
Sure, that's just an amazing,
so that's
amazing
It's like,
backdrop.
what have these walls seen? Because a lot of the stone for the first tower, the White Tower, was brought over from Normandy, but a lot of it was taken from where it was in place.
Oh, right.
Because this is where the Romans first built their first wall around Londinium, and it was taken from those walls.
So for everybody at home or everybody's listening who doesn't know what the Tower of London is, can you give a brief synopsis of what the Tower? Because I know it's a jail, so you going to work must have been like you going on day release.
Yeah.
Did you have a bracelet on your ankle? No.
Hasbo, says a Hasbo there.
Okay. Brief history of the Tower of London.
Yeah.
William the Conqueror, William the Bastard, came across, said, "Oi, it's mine. It's my crown. Go on, Harold, off you go." Did away with Harold and said, "Right, now I'm here. I need to take stock of everything. This is the main river that goes into the heart of England. I need to build something here so that I can stop others going up the river and have it impressive. So it's like, I am here, big thing." So Tower of London started to be built, or the first castle started to be built. Unfortunately, he died before it was finished building, so he never got to see it.
William the Conqueror did.
William the Conqueror
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
But his son, William II, funnily enough, finished it off. And that was where the heart of the English governance was then. It came from there and then went out. So that's where all the other castles around England and Wales came from, where the Normans went out and built the castles from there. In stone, not in
stone.
In stone, not in wood. And then from then on, the monarchies throughout the history have added on to it. So when you see the White Tower, and then when you look out from that, you've got the medieval tower, which was Edward I,
Okay.
Longchamps, which is the one that goes over what everybody knows as Traitor's Gate. Got turned into Traitor's Gate because where people would come to the tower, the palace, to visit the monarchy, do whatever, it was easier to use the river to come up and use boats and things. So they would come in by the Sallyport or Bywood Tower. The traders bringing in the food and everything else would come into Traitor's Gate. So when somebody was coming in as a prisoner to be held in the various cells that they had there, they wouldn't be brought in, the fancy place, so they're not coming in through the front door.
Here in the back door, they're going through the back door.
Yeah.
So they came in that way, and that's how it became known as Traitor's Gate. So it's the traitors were brought in that way. And you've got other various towers in there as well. You've got the Beauchamp Tower, you've got what's known as the Bloody Tower now, and the Wakefield Tower. Bloody Tower was a garden tower until Elizabeth I came on the throne, and then she visited the tower when it had been the first time she visited since she had herself been a prisoner there. And she said, "Oh, that's where my mother was kept before, beheading up here, that bloody tower," and it's been known as the Bloody Tower. And you've got the Beauchamp, and you've got the Martin Tower, Langthorne Tower, Salt Tower. There was 22 of them. You had the Wardrobe Tower, you had what's the one that I can't remember where the animals were kept, the menagerie was kept before it went to London Zoo. It didn't start off as a prison. It started off as a royal palace, but like any palaces and governments, where you've got your government, you're going to have a place for law and order and keep people that you want to keep close to you that aren't very nice. So you That's where you had your prison bit for. And like I say, when you look out from the tower, you've then got all these other towers, but then you've got this wall that goes around the tower, and that's the casemates. And that's where you would have all the workers. So you'd have the armourers, you'd have the blacksmiths, you'd have you'd have the cooks, you'd have the Royal Mint was there. That was where all your trade for the tower was, because it was its own little village, really.
So how many people roughly worked round there, do you reckon? If it's a small village and people are doing all that? Is it thousands of people or a few hundred?
It would have been a few hundred.
A few
Because you would
hundred.
have had the palace staff, which would stay in the palace, whichever palace was being used as a palace at the time. You'd then obviously have the guards and security that would stay there. And then the mint, probably you'd have a few people staying there and a few people staying in the armoury and things like that. But you wouldn't have a lot of people because the tower has always been locked up at night.
Okay. So it's gone back centuries.
In
Oh,
fact, what are we on now? 2025?
Yeah.
About 41 years, and it would be 1,000 years old.
1,000 years old.
That's a lot of history.
You and Robin, you move into your new digs.
Yeah.
Your new digs in the
The
tower.
Airbnb.
You're all excited, and somebody tells you, watch out for the ghost. So, and then you started digging and you found some ghost stories. What's your favourite ghost story? Oh, you can tell us a few.
I was going to say, before we actually moved there, it was a bit weird because Robin hadn't even thought about applying to become a yeoman warder, because thousands apply and only a handful are ever picked because it's known as dead man's shoes.
So this is a retirement gig. Yeah.
Kind of ish, I
Right.
suppose, because back when the yeoman warder were formed, they weren't retirees.
So just when you apply for a job like that, what's the perks? I mean, you move, you get a job these days, you go, oh, I'm going to get promotion. What's the perk
okay.
of a yeoman? If he's already in the army, is it?
To be a yeoman warder now, because the criteria changed when the Duke of Wellington became the governor back in the 1800s. There was a little bit of corruption and things going on before that. It was an honorary, it was a great honour before. And then corruption crept in, and the Duke of Wellington went, I'll get rid of that. So he kicked that out and put it back to being a great honour. And so he said, right, the criteria is only men of 40 years, at least 40 years old, have done their complete military colour service within the ranks, not commissioned officers, but those up to warrant. You have to have been a warrant officer class 2 or a warrant officer class 1, so a CSM or an RSM, and have done your 22 years colour service and have the military medal for long service good conduct, which is basically a medal that you get after completing 16 years in the British Army. I presume the RAF has got the equivalent. The Navy must have the equivalent, and there's a funny story about the Navy.
There's always a funny story.
Yeah,
about it.
there's always a back door there, isn't there?
Because up until very recently, the Navy were not allowed to apply.
To be a yeoman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because even though they would reach the equivalent ranks in the Navy of a warrant, same as Royal Marines will get to warrants and RAF have got their equivalent warrants, the Navy, when they used to swear their allegiance, they swore their allegiance to the Admiralty first and then the monarchy.
Second.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was like, you lot, nah, you don't get in here. So I know that's changed, but I don't know whether the allegiance has changed, so they've switched it round so they swear their allegiance to the monarchy and then the Admiralty.
Or they've just relaxed.
Or they've just relaxed it.
Yeah.
As soon as I'm not Navy, I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you've got to have the long service good conduct medal, which you get after 16 years, which is basically the I haven't got caught medal.
Yeah.
Because if you show me somebody in the military that's done at least 16 years and they haven't done something a little bit naughty,
Yeah. Especially in the early
then
days.
they are completely lying about their military service.
Yeah, we've all got bones in our cupboards, literally.
There's definitely, you've never got a good RSM that has been pristine his whole time.
Just didn't get caught.
Yeah, it's you haven't been caught medal. Yeah.
So Robin had evaded capture for enough years
yes.
to get posted as a yeoman.
Yeah, he had a few good witnesses. He wasn't there.
You can apply, anybody that's got those criteria can apply. It doesn't mean to say that you're even going to get a letter back saying come for an interview or we'll go for the first stage or anything, because thousands apply, but there's only a handful. They're not even taken every year. It's whenever somebody leaves the position. And once they've got that position, they can keep it until they're 60, 65. That's why it's
really?
Dead man's shoes.
You're right, okay.
Because, going back to retirees, when it was first done, they weren't retirees. And even when Wellington said, right, you've got to be 40 years old and have done your military service, they're still fit men. You've still got to have fit men for chasing off whoever's there. And it was still where people were held prisoner.
Yeah.
You think about it, you've got the crown jewels there.
No, I've got the crown jewels here.
You need somebody, that can, see off a few people. Robin didn't apply like that. He was invited to apply. Another honour. Not very many people are invited to apply. So he was invited to apply, and we went up to the Tower Remembrance Day and had a look around with one of the younger sergeants. And it was good because everybody was leaving as we were going in. So we got, like a private look round, and it was nice. And he was him and his wife were actually living in the Beecham Tower, which is where Lady Jane Grey was held, coming out and having to step over the dead body of her husband before going and getting the head.
My gosh.
It's baffled him over there. Absolutely baffled.
Yeah.
History, don't know nothing about it.
And because she was a young girl,
he's
she
pretty
didn't
good.
keep very still, so it wasn't a very quick ending for her.
Yeah. No,
It wasn't.
So when you're going for this job, are you walking up there and you're going, whatever you do, don't cock this up. I like it here.
Well,
this is it.
No, we're looking around and I'm thinking, oh, wow, this history.
That's Heather, by the way. She keeps smacking the microphone.
I'm
She talks with her hands.
Sit on my hands, right?
Just sit on her hands.
Sit on my hands. So, I mean, I love history. Rob loves history too, but we've always joked that he gets confused with his centuries and things. He loves the Roman era. He loves Aztecs and things like that. But because he can't get your centuries right, we'll say, Rob, what are you doing? You're wearing a Roman ruff again instead of, like a Tudor ruff and things like this. He'll look at me and he said, hang on a minute, Elizabethan, that was 17. No, it wasn't. It was the 60s, So it was harder I think it was quite hard for him at first when we got there because of all the history he had to learn as well.
So you're expected to know all the history as a yeoman?
You have to learn it, and you have
Okay.
to learn the history that is given to you by the Tower because that is the official history.
Okay.
Regardless of these TV presenters that go in and say, "Oh, it's so and so and so and so." Do you remember a gentleman, Dr. David Starkey?
The name rings a bell.
Yeah, he used to love doing. He's got a really annoying voice, but he used to love doing things about the Tudors. That was his thing, and look at me, and I'm walking along here, and I'm telling you about this, and that's lovely. That's your bag, baby. You go for it. But he always contradicted. If he ever went to the Tower, he always contradicted what the Tower's history was.
Okay.
The official history. So in the end, the Tower said, "You ain't coming in here."
There you go. Do you see a picture of him? He's not coming in?
That didn't just stop him from the Tower. It also stopped him from Hampton Court.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Any of the other HRPs, the Historic Royal Palaces, that no, you're not allowed.
Fake news.
Fake news. Fake news.
Because what they go by is what was documented at the time, not what we found out later. But somebody obviously wrote down, "Oh, I just seen, I just saw Anne Boleyn over there. Oh, look at her, she pulled her skirt up. I'm writing that down today." Those sort of things were written down, and yet by whoever observed it, and then you get these people that will come back and say, "Well, actually, I've dug down, and I've been reading so and so and so and so's book from out there and whatever." Who probably hasn't got any connection to any of the history whatsoever, but they've decided that they know everything. They've read a Google page or something, and then they'll contradict it. But anyway, so we went up and we had the tour around, and then at the end, as we were leaving, the yeoman sergeant said to Rob, "So what do you think? Do you think you could work here?" And Rob's like, "Whatever, didn't think anything of it." A couple of days later, this invite to land on the map.
Oh, so then you got the invite to apply.
Yeah, so he then said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Might as well, you're coming to the end of your 22. Our daughter's at the age where she's just about to start uni. Do we stay in the UK for her to do uni? Because we've done a deal with her saying you do your A-levels, and if you want to do uni, we'll pay for it. Won't pay for the accommodation, but we'll pay for uni, give you a good start in life, that sort of thing. So do we, and if we stay in the UK, where we're going to stay?" Because he'd also applied for his commission in the British Army to transfer from a warrant to
an officer. Yeah.
and also an extension, so he'd get his RSM. And all three came through.
Oh, wow.
And he said, "Which one do we pick with?" I'm like, "Okay, well, if you RSM, you've probably only got 2 years, so we still have to move, and then Marnie will still be doing uni. And commission, yeah, that's okay, but, we still have to move around every 18 months, 2 years. Not so good again. Let's do the London one, because at least then we can get Marnie to apply to the London universities, and then we're fixed."
And you can stay there till you...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we took that one.
Oh, wow.
Obviously, when we walked around and we were chatting to other yeomen, and they've got a yeoman warders club there, which is a bar.
Like a naffy.
No, it's a bar.
Actually call people, did it actually call yeoman? You go, "All right, mate." You go, "All right, yeoman." Does that name come up, or is it just, do you like say, "Oh, there's Yeoman Andy," Or is it just a yeoman? Is just that's the job title?
If you're in the job, then you call each other by your Christian name.
But you don't go like yeoman Andy or
No,
anything. It's
no.
just Andy.
If you're in the job, and the only people that you don't call by your Christian name is when you're on duty is obviously the chief yeoman warder, the yeoman jailer, and the yeoman sergeants. You don't know they're sergeant and jailer, and you know.
Yeah.
But off duty, then you know you're all the same. But so you know you got the yeoman warders bar there, and when Rob got the position, we had to apply for accommodation, and the accommodation isn't built for you. There's no flats or houses for you. You have to fit in wherever they can fit you in. We were lucky enough to get number 6, the old hospital block. And as the name suggests, it was the old hospital block. It was built in 1649. It was the last building to be put up in the tower. And it was a hospital. And we had number 6. And it was a 2-bedroom, very long corridor as you walked in. It's like an L shape. And, excuse me, so as you came in, it was like, oh, where are we going to put our furniture? It's bad enough in military quarters where you've got to fit in because obviously, you know, they don't care. You know, if you've just gone and bought a new 3-piece suite, it's like, it's tough. You shouldn't have bought a new 3-piece suite.
Yeah, you got a way to put it now.
Obviously, we didn't have a garden anymore, so all the garden furniture didn't need a mower anymore. So all that had to go. And it was like, okay, all right, well, we've put in for immigration to Canada. We didn't know when that was going to come through. So we knew we had to downsize anyway. So it's like, okay, what are we taking to the tower? We need a sofa, need something to sit on, we need something to eat from, need something to sleep on. So we took the beds, we took the 3-piece suite, we took the table, obviously TV, wall unit and things like that. We had built-in wardrobes there, which was good. The kitchen was really weird.
Like an operating theatre.
Yeah, actually.
Like an operating theatre in hospital.
As soon as you said hospital ward and long corridor, that was me moved out.
When you walked into our apartment, like I said, it was an L shape, first of all. So you came in through the L shape. And as it did this, here we used it as a bookcase, but there was like an archway. You could see where it was the archway into the other ward, or what had been the other ward. But it's where we put our dining room table, because it was big enough to put the dining room table in. In the kitchen, I'd said to Rob, because he was up there 6 weeks before I moved up, and he redecorated and was getting things ready. And the only thing I said to him was, I will buy the cooker. I will go and buy the cooker. This is the thing that I use. I will go and buy it. And he said, you sure? I said, yep, I will go and buy it. I will have it delivered. I will go and buy it. But I'm not going to go and do that until I get up there because I want to go and have a good nose round. And he said, okay. Well, bless him. He got hold of the workmen and he got them to plumb into the middle of the kitchen because there was nowhere else for it. Our dishwasher.
Just random. Just put it there. Just random.
Yeah. So we had a window and there's the dishwasher. So, you know, normally your dishwasher's by the sink, dishwasher there. And then he got them to extend the pipes to what other people would have used as a larder for our washing machine to go in. Oh. And our tumble dryer sat on top and then we stuck the hose out through the little, you know, pantry window.
Whoever's gone into apartment 6 in the hospital block now has gone in and went, who the friggin' hell put the washing machine here?
just imagine getting that delivery address.
Why have you got pipes going?
That delivery address. I got 24 Windsor Gardens, Tower of London. Somebody having a laugh here or what? My first day on the job, Tower of London.
Obviously, we went down to Yeoman Warders Club before we moved in properly, and we were just chatting with everyone. I said, come on, I've got to know, are there ghosts?
Yeah, here we go.
You know,
Here we go.
Are there ghosts? Every Yeoman Warder, everyone that
now.
works there will say, nah, there's no ghosts. There's weird things that happen, but there's no ghosts.
So go on then. So did you encounter one yourself or are these hearsay?
Oh, I can tell you hearsay ones, which are good, and I can tell you ones that I've encountered that are good.
Okay.
All right.
And the one that encounters your sexy knee.
Oh, yes, I'll tell you about the sexy knee.
Okay.
But funnily enough, Robin's granddad was a Coldstream Guard, and he had been stationed at the Tower of London. And he used to tell the story of how he used to be on where you've got the bloody tower, there's a little wall walk there, and then it goes into Tower Green, and where you've got the Queen's house, which is where the governor lives. And there's a couple of little cottages there, but you have this wall walk. And he used to be up there on guard, and he said that you could hear when the new ones are coming in because you'd hear the rifles getting dropped and people scuffling in their hobnail boots, you know, the vest boots, running across the cobbles, getting out there because they were creeped out by whatever it was, you know. So we thought that was quite funny. The other one that happened actually during the Second World War, the Tower of London always has Ceremony of the Keys, and it's happened for nearly 800 years now. Regardless of whether anybody is there to watch it or not, it happens. Full ceremony, it happens. And every night, a soldier will be walked down from the platoon and put on sentry by the archway for the Bloody Tower, for the Wakefield Tower and the Bloody Tower. And that's where he has to stay for when the yeoman warder and his guardsmen come up. He has a block of 4 come up, and then this little sentry guy stands there, says, "Halt, who comes there?" And they say keys, and he says, "Whose keys?" And at our time it was the Queen's keys, and it was Queen's keys. Past Queen's keys, all is good, because the keys, it's almost it's the monarchy themselves that's going through. So obviously now it'd be King's keys. Anyway, he'd been put there, and they're normally put there about 45 minutes before the ceremony of the keys actually starts. And he had been told that due to the bombing, there was a hearse, that was going to be brought in to pick up one of the people that had passed during the bombings. One of the yeoman warder, it was actually, that he wasn't in the bombing, but the bombing had brought on a heart attack and he'd passed. So this carriage was going to go from the Byward Tower, which is the front entrance to the tower, if you ever go there, and you come along, and it will come along Water Street, funnily enough, because it's right by the water. So it will come along Water Street, and then it would go past this little guy on the sentry and straight down and go past the east gate, and then it will go round into the rest of the casemates, which is, like I say, the outer wall, because that's where yeoman warder now live, as well as in towers and things like that. And he said, yeah, okay. So they said, don't worry about it. As I said to you earlier, it can get a bit chilly and a bit foggy in the tower, and you don't have street lamps as such in the tower. There's no proper roadways or anything like that. What you see is how it was.
Okay.
I think somebody has given in and put a little pavement walkway one side with some nice, concrete slabs that are nice and flat. But other than that, it's cobbled.
Original.
Yeah. He's there, and it's a bit misty and it's a bit foggy, and you've got these really dull lights around, and he can see this hearse coming towards him. And because of it being wartime, they didn't have the petrol rations to use vehicles that need petrol, gas. So they were back to using the horse-drawn one.
Horse-drawn.
So a horse-drawn one came along, and he just happened to have thought, looks a bit old, that one. All right. Needs must, though, needs be. Just let it go past. And he watched it go past it. And about 15 minutes later, another one came through, and he said, oh, and he actually stopped this. He said, hang on a minute. There's only meant to be one of you. Where'd you come from? And he said, what are you on about? We're here. I've got a bit of paper. We're here to pick up so-and-so. He said, well, who was that? And he said, what are you on about? Who's that? Nobody else has come before.
See, that's right there, isn't it? That's proper.
Yeah. He had to get taken off and somebody else put on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Been on the older.
So when we moved in properly, the first night, didn't really notice anything happening, because the first night also happened to have been Robin's ceremony, where he was sworn in to the yeoman warder body.
The big pledge.
Yeah, all of that. Everybody's there. He's in a nice suit and that. They're all in their nice, the blue undress and everything else. And you've got the governor there with his feathers on his hat and all that stuff. And they breathe this and he does that. And so I'm there moving in, and that you've got certain times that you can have vehicles in, and certain times when they're not allowed to be in. And I had to make sure that the movers had got everything out of the van and up into the flat, or at least onto the boiler house roof, because you have to go in the back and up onto the boiler house roof and then up the stairs. And they're stone stairs. They're quite large, but they're stone stairs, and then up and into ours. They're going to fall off. And I had to make sure that was all done by 5 to 9, and that their vehicle was out and on the wharf by 9 o'clock. Otherwise, they wouldn't get their vehicle out of the tower.
Locked in for the night.
It's locked. But if it's on the wharf, then at least it can go that way and out the gates and drive up on the road and off you go, that sort of thing. So very, very well. They did all that. That was great. And Robin had his ceremony, and they'd taken him down to the Yeoman Warders Club and presented him with his little silver cup that they've all got.
All right, okay.
The date. And some people take it when they leave, and other people leave it, and it's all in a case. And Robin's left his, so it's in the case there. So I knew I wasn't going to see him for quite a while. And as I said to you, you don't lock your doors in the tower. There's no point. Nobody's going to come in and nick anything.
They're already locked up, aren't
heavily
they?
guarded place in London.
Unless you want some,
Well, probably you think it is. It probably isn't.
unless you want some, some armed security there and some soldiers breathing down your neck, then you're not going to. 2:30, 3 in the morning. Robin eventually comes home, swings in.
From the Yeoman Club, the old Yeoman Club there.
It's just very tired. It's been a long day.
It's been a long day.
It's been a very long day.
120 a pint. There you go.
And he said to me, oh, thank you, sweet. You don't know that. I said, yeah, it's great. Just go to bed. You know, anything else we'll deal with in the morning. We'll go to bed, do in the morning. And I said, hang on a minute, out of matter of fact, how the hell did you remember where we live? Because I know what you're like. He said, well, I did go into a couple of other flats before I managed to get into this one.
A few wards.
A few others. So I apologised to those the next morning, and that they were, don't worry about it.
Been there, done that.
Done that,
Yeah.
So anyway, we didn't really notice anything the first night. And Marnie happened to be away at friend's place as well that night. Second night, however, Marnie's back. She's a little bit worse for wear as well from having partied. And so she said, I'm off to bed early. It was about 9 o'clock or something. And I said, all right, off you go, sweetheart. See you in the morning. And Rob and I were up just still putting things away and stuff like that. And then about 10 to 10, Marnie comes storming out of her bedroom. Mother, what? I'm 17 years old. I do not need to be tucked in. How dare you come and tuck me in?
Ooh.
Wow.
Sweetheart, I haven't tucked you in since you were 5 years old. Why would I go and start tucking you in now? It's I don't do that. Dad, did you do? He's not going to have done it.
It's 3 sheets in the wind.
And she said, oh, just leave me. So, fine. So she went back to her room. And Rob and I were literally walking from the living room, because we had our living room here, Marnie's room's here, which faced the White Tower. Our bedroom faced the back, one of the back wall walks. So our kitchen. We're walking from the living room into the kitchen, and Marnie's bedroom door opened, just slightly. And they're quite thick doors, like 3-inch thick wood. And I thought, oh, she's coming out. No, she's not coming out. I didn't hear anything of it until I walked back through and the door closed again. And I thought, oh, perhaps she's closed it. And then about an hour later, the door did the same. And I thought, oh, okay. Mental note, it must be the floorboards and it's just hitting the door. Perhaps if you don't,
Yeah. You don't properly.
Went to bed that night. I'm sat in bed, covered over. We've got Brown Bum and Stinky on the bed. Rob's, reading his astronomy mag or whatever. And I'm reading. I was like, oh, God, my leg's cold. Why's my leg cold? Duvet and the sheets come off my knee. That's why I'm cold. It's a bit of a draft. Put that back. Didn't think anything of. Thought perhaps the dogs must have moved, as they do, and duvet and the sheet go for a walk. I went off to sleep. The next night, same thing happened to Marnie.
She was tucked in again.
She got tucked in again.
Oh, shut her up now.
I'd be out there.
And the door would open at 9:30 and then close again, and then open again about an hour later and then close again. We found out later that it was supposedly a nurse.
A nurse? I was going to say, it must have been a nurse, this.
Yeah.
Spooky.
So Marnie, instead of sleeping where her bed was, she was if you're laying in it, she's on the right-hand side. She would sleep on the left-hand side. And she actually watched the right-hand side being tucked in.
No.
Yeah.
Oh. You see them sheets just rippling, man.
So she actually watched that being tucked in.
I've got goosebumps.
Yeah. Okay. So, I'm in bed. We've been watching a bit of telly, had a bit of discussion, had a Bailey's nightcap, going, still can't.
We'll move on. It's a family show.
Yeah. And dogs are settled, and Rob's just getting comfy and about to he always sleeps with a pillow over his head. Put the pillow over his head. And I thought, gee, my bloody knee's cold again. Why? I know we've got the window open, but the window's over there. If it was here, I get it. I've got a draft, but it's over there. Why the hell? It's covered it up. And I thought, perhaps Rob was hogging the sheets.
Yeah, like we do.
So I had a good look, and no, I had a good 10 inches of duvet and sheet to cover my knee and hang down the bed. So I covered my knee back over, carried on reading, and then felt a draft again. I was like, oh, bloody dogs! Dogs haven't moved. Okay, I wonder. So I just put the sheet back over, and I was reading, and then I saw the sheet getting lifted up and over my knee.
No, stop it now.
It wasn't a horrible feeling. It wasn't like like that sort of thing. It was more like you go, when you go, oh. It was like that. So I was like, I'm drunk. I've got to be drunk. It's got to be
one too many Baileys.
Yeah, so did it again. Okay, let's see how long it takes. 10 minutes, and it wasn't pulled. It was lifted. So I then poked Rob away. I said, "You got to see it. You got to see it." He said, "What?" I said, "Got to watch it. Watch my knee." And he said, "Why?" I said, "It's sexy. This is a sexy knee." So I covered my knee over again with the sheet, and I said, "Watch. 10 minutes. Watch." And he said, "Oh, okay." And he went, "No."
Did it again.
That's like a party trick, isn't it?
He said, "Put the sheet and the duvet." I said, "Oh, that's even better." Yeah, it became the gay sheet and the duvet over. I was like, "Is it going to do it?" Yeah, duvet. And then the sheet gets lifted. Yeah, it goes over.
That did not freak you out one bit.
I learned that just don't bother covering your knee at night, your left knee. because it's going to be uncovered.
What?
So
Was it just your knee?
it was just my knee.
No one else?
No, and just my
So
left
it wasn't it, and it wasn't
The doctor.
It wasn't like with your daughter's bed,
No.
where it was specific to one side of the bed.
No, this was just my knee
Yeah.
there. So I'm thinking that whoever had been in that, because obviously our bedroom was part of the ward, so there would have been
Must have had an injury on the
an
leg or
injury,
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was being lifted up so they could see it at all times.
Everyone's fighting to sit in your bed
Oh
so
my
they could
God.
have the knees
So,
lifted
and
over.
how many years were you there? And did it do it all the time you were there?
Yeah, we were in the old hospital block until
Until 10 minutes later, then I'd be fucking...
Yeah, I'd be out there like a shot.
we were in the old hospital block for nearly 2 years, and then we moved into the casemates. And we were only in the casemates a few months before the immigration came through. So I don't know if anything was really happening.
Immigration
in the
couldn't have come
casemates.
sooner.
But
Yeah,
that
I'd
was
be out
happening
there.
on my left knee. And
And it was every night.
every night, yeah, every night.
Yeah, I could see it being spooky at first, but then it would just do me head in
And
after a while.
It was only my left knee. So if I
Did you try swapping sides of the bed with Robin?
God, no.
He's having, you can go and get lost. Ain't happening to me.
If I slept on my left side, my right knee wasn't uncovered. And if I slept on my stomach, my right knee, because obviously the right knee would be there,
Yeah.
that wasn't uncovered. But it was if I was sleeping, if I slept on my back, the left knee was uncovered.
Oh.
It's really weird.
I've never
It didn't feel
Uncomfortable.
Like I say, we had the dogs there as well.
Did the dogs not pick up on any of this?
The dogs were not bothered by that. The other thing that happened to us in the apartment was
Stop saying apartment. It's a hospital. It's not an apartment, is it? This is like
Well,
Spookville. 16
if you
Spookville.
sit at the old hospital block and you look at it, you have to look really closely to see, because when the bombings were happening in the Second World War, the side that we lived got bombed.
Right.
And I say you have to look really closely because they've managed to match the brick. And so it's just, the right-hand side is just slightly lighter than it's just slightly darker than the left-hand
Okay.
side at the minute. But you have to really look out and go, oh, that's different, different shade brick. The other thing that used to happen, because we had the dogs, and obviously we used to go walking in the moat with the dogs and throw the balls from and things like that, we'd have balls, had the really tough, hard rubber balls, like the cricket balls.
Yeah.
And we had a red one, a yellow one, a blue one, and a white one with speckles on. And we used to put them in those chuck-it sticks and throw them.
Red, white, and blue. They're very, very traditional.
The reason why we had 4 was because we had 2 dogs.
Yeah.
That you'd then have to. They were very good at going and getting them and bringing them back to you, but they weren't very good at giving them back to you.
Right.
So you used to have to throw another one, and then they'd spit that one out. So you go and get that one, and then that was 4. But we kept them on the bookcase in the hallway. We kept them up out the way, and I think we'd been there about maybe 2 months. And I said to Rob, right, are you off? Are you on tea break or something? And he said, yeah. He said, I'm off for 40 minutes. I said, well, you give me a hand, just walking the dogs down and getting them into the moat. And I can let them off and they can run and I haven't got to, He said, yeah, no worries. He said, I'll grab the balls, you grab the leads. I said, okay. So I went to grab the leads. And he said, where are the balls? And I said, they're up there. He said, no, 2 are up here. Where are the other 2? And I said, well, perhaps they've fallen off. Balls roll. They're round, they roll. So we're looking all on the ground, couldn't find them anywhere. I said, they're behind a book or something. Perhaps one of them fell down and Melnie's put a book in there to stop it from, falling off the shelf or something. No. I said, all right, we take them. And it was, remember this, it was the yellow and the blue one that we had. So we took them down and we were playing the balls and that, came back up, put them back up. And then a couple of hours later, I looked up there and the yellow and blue were gone, but the red and the white speckled ones were back.
Gold.
Yeah.
And that would happen every day. And
that would happen every day?
Every day.
2 would go missing and the other 2...
Yeah.
Oh,
and when
my.
we were moving from the old hospital block into the casemates, and of course we're packing up, went to go and get the balls and I said, look, please, we're moving. I need all the balls. I can't go leaving the balls in here. Somebody else is going to be coming in here. I need to have all the balls, please. And I went away and came back and all the balls were there.
Oh,
Just imagine.
Is that the only conversation you had with them?
Yeah.
I mean, please, leave my knee alone.
Give me my balls back.
When Rob and I came across to Canada, we came across and we were looking in Nova Scotia
Yeah.
to buy a house. And obviously Marnie was back at the tower. She was looking after a place. Her then boyfriend stayed over with her. And the Princess Trust were having their big concert in the moat.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because you live there, apparently it's an inconvenience to have all this noise. So you get all the VIP tickets for free.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Marnie went to the VIP,
Mhm.
Princess Trust. And when we had music in the moat, we used to get the big tickets. And so, went saw Pet Shop Boys there,
Oh, wow.
James Brown there.
Yeah.
You know, all of, you know, everybody there sort of thing. And then you get to drink with them afterwards.
Oh, wow.
I'll be a yeoman. I'll be a yeoman.
You know, so Marnie went to the Princess Trust, and we've got sash windows in the old hospital block, and they're quite stiff. Rob and I have always liked fresh air in the house. So even out here, the window is open at night in our bedroom. Doesn't matter what the temperature is, because we like fresh air coming in, because it's nice. But we knew that because we were in the old hospital block, we weren't going to open the bottom part of the sash. We were going to open the top, because otherwise Brown Bum would see a pigeon and out he'd go, from the third floor. So we'd said to Marnie, make sure that your boyfriend knows not to open the bottom parts of the. And she said, yeah, I know. I've told him. I said, okay. I said, just open the top. She said, yeah, I know. I've told him. I said, same in your. Said, I know. I've told him. Marnie took the dogs out for a walk, came back, and all the sash windows were opening and closing
by themselves.
And she said that it's really hard to do, because the sash, sash windows, and they're
they're up and down.
Yeah, they're not modern sash windows.
They're probably a bit sticky with a bit of paint on them.
And what do you mean they're going up and down? She said, I mean, the bottoms are going up and then they're going down, the tops are going down, they're going up. I said, what, all together? All together. It's like they're doing a little dance, all of them, in all of the apartment, all of them. The ones in your rooms, the one in the kitchen, the one in my room, the one in the living room, all of them.
Yeah, Ghost is just going, that's what you get for covering your leg back up.
Oh, my God.
And I said, who have you upset in the place?
Yeah.
I've never had anything like that. No.
I have. I've had a door slam on me before. Upstairs, no windows open. Craig of them.
Well, we had...
I believe.
You believe there's some...
Were you so just picking up on that then. So before you moved into the Tower of London, you were probably sceptical about ghost stories. Everybody has ghost stories, but then to witness not one, two, but three, but four
encounters.
Yeah.
Skeptical, but not skeptical.
Not a non-believer, but, having four encounters surely reinforced
My gran had in Appledore. They moved down from Harrow and they bought a shop and then turned it into a cafe with pinball machines. I loved it. I grew up with pinball machines. And stuff. So the first part of the house was actually an extension that was built in the 1600s. And it was huge. It's like 35, 40 foot long. And then the second part of the house was what used to be the old cottage that was there.
Right.
And because I was down grans and granddads all the time, and I just got used to the weird noises that you heard in weird old houses, And they always used to say, oh, it's Mr. Williams again, because you could be sat downstairs chatting away and you could hear footsteps on the landing, and then they'd come part way down the stairs. There's no one there. And then Gran or Grandad used to look up and go, all right, Mr. Williams. And then you'd hear the steps go back up and off again. So I grew up with that, so it didn't bother me. Does that... Yeah, weird things like that. It's like, whatever.
Does anybody want to change seats?
Did someone bless Heather before she came in?
I got to say,
did we cleanse her before
we got
she
bloody
came
sainting in the studio.
You're okay. I've had my caffeine for the day, so my head's not going to spin.
Right.
So, yes and no. And we had an old house in Bideford that was an old merchant's house. And Rob and Marnie swore blind it was haunted, but I'd never felt anything. Right. They always thought it was a bit weird, but I didn't. So when we went to the tower, I mean, obviously I'd heard things like, oh, yes, Anne Boleyn, she walks with her head tucked underneath.
Yeah, like Harry Potter, Harry Potter pictures.
Because even as a young child, when I first heard that, I thought, why? If she is a ghost, why has she got her head? Put your head back on, woman.
That's natural thinking, isn't it?
Why are you going around? Stupid thing to have around you,
Yeah.
So it's
it is. When you think about it, it's common sense. Go, oh, I'll just put it back on. But it's the ghost thing, isn't it? You've got it underneath you.
It's a purse. It's where she keeps all the belongings.
You think. I suppose it's just the way I thought. It's like, all right, there's weird things you can't explain.
Yeah.
Perhaps you don't have to explain them, but it's just like, things for you to think about, sort of thing. So yeah, I'd asked about it, and then before going up, we asked about things, and like I said, you ask any yeoman warder, they'll say no, there's no ghosts, but there's weird things that happen. Like one of the yeoman warders, their wife at the time, used to get groups come in of an evening that the yeoman warders would take round, and then they'd take them to the yeoman warders bar and they'd buy the drinks or whatever. And if they wanted a buffet, one of the yeoman wives would put a buffet on for them, and then they go and see the ceremony of the keys, which you can go and see, and it's absolutely free.
Right.
You just got to write to HRP. They'll send you tickets so you go and see it. But you don't get to go in the Yeoman Warders Club. You have to be invited into that. And one of the wives that used to do that used to set up where the Yeoman Warders Club is. You go past the Bloody Tower. So you're just going straight down. So the Bloody Tower's up here, and you're just going straight down. And you come to the East Gate, And then there's the Yeoman Warders Club here, and you've got a tower here, and it's the Well Tower. And then you've got to start the casemates to finish going around. Well, the Well Tower is now part of the Yeoman Warders Club, and the wives, when they used to make the buffets, used to set it up downstairs in the Well Tower because obviously it's cold. You haven't got to refrigerate anything. There you go. And one of the wives used to regularly see a young boy that was dressed in Tudor-style clothes.
No, that's where I draw the line.
Just sat sat on the window seat. And she said you couldn't see him straight on. She said it was almost as if you just
peripheral.
saw the corner of your eye. Because if you look straight on, he went. So you could see him out the corner of your eye. And she said, I've called him Thomas, and I talked to him, and he seems to be quite happy, just sat there watching what I'm doing, but doesn't like to be looked at.
Look at me.
A vain ghost.
So she was wondering if he was a son of a yeoman warder that used to live in the Well Tower with, a prisoner that perhaps, when kids used to die at early ages then.
Yeah.
That's, that one.
Do you believe in ghosts, Andy?
I don't know. I mean, when you hear stories like that, it's like some things you can put, like, I remember my brother, he was having a shower when he was like 12, 13, whatever, and he was taking forever. And my mum opened the bathroom door and said, Robert, hurry up. You got to go to school or whatever. Just hurry up and finish your shower. Closed the door. He finished his shower. He got out and the door was locked. Yeah. But then you think, her opening the door and closing the door, maybe the lock was just a catch away.
Yeah.
So you think, is it a ghost story? Yeah, it could be if you embellished it, but it could just be the lock was just on the edge of being locked. But when two balls go missing, then you think, and the sash windows are going up and down. I'm like, how do you explain that?
To stay, I said to her, have you warned him about your bedroom? Because obviously Manu got used to it.
Oh, so she got tucked in regularly?
Yeah, every night.
Oh my God.
That'd become quite nice so at one point.
It would be, you know what I mean?
Thank you. Good night.
Tuck me in, there you go. Nice.
So that's why she decided
to
sleep on the
left a
left-hand
pillow
side of her bed instead of the right-hand side.
And then he's come over and slept on the right-hand side of the bed.
Have you told him? She said, oh, hell no. I said, this is going to be interesting. He screamed like a...
Oh, my God. Yeah, so
you were sitting watching the clock, weren't you? You were like, 5, 4, 3, 2,
here it comes.
I mean, the only time... When we were in the old hospital block, the only time that it felt nasty, and I'm like, really nasty, was Rob and I we'd come back from the Yeoman Warders Club, sat in bed chatting. It was about 2:30 in the morning, and we could hear running, and it was running far off, like somebody was running down a corridor. And because it was an old hospital block where we were, you could imagine it was somebody coming from a far end of the hospital, coming down.
Sure, living room, it's that far.
First thing I said, long corridors.
That's what I mean, yeah.
No. Where
The Shining.
Was next door to us was what was he called? Do you know, I can see him and I can't think of his name. Anyway, him. I can't think of his name now. Isn't it awful? I do know they had a Cocker Spaniel.
Another yeoman.
Yes.
Right,
him
okay. There we
and his
go.
wife lived there.
Yeah.
And it sounded as if it was coming from their apartment, right from there. And then the footsteps got louder and louder and louder, and then they were in our apartment. Because at first I thought that they were coming from outside the apartments, because obviously you've got connecting doors for them to go through. But then when you heard them in our apartment, I'm like, I haven't heard my front door go. How the hell? What? And they got closer and louder until they got to our bedroom door, and then it was bang, bang, bang on our bedroom door.
Who comes there?
And I looked at Rob, and Rob looked at me, and we looked at the dogs, and the dogs literally just went, sod that, and went that way.
Yeah, that's your game, not mate.
And I was like,
oh my God.
I just like...
And then everything went silent. You know, when you're thinking, can I hear somebody breathing? Is there somebody there? Who's there? And then you're thinking, who the hell could have got into the tower at this time of night? And why would they be picking on our... And where the hell have they run from? Chris Morton, that's his name.
Random thought there. It's just popped into Heather.
Shout out to Chris.
Chris Morton, yeah. There you go, Chris.
Chris, was it you that was running down the corridor? And I looked at Rob and I said, are you going to go and have a look at that? He went, nope, I'm just going to go to sleep now. And if I fall asleep with the light on tonight,
and I'm going to hope it all goes away. Just hope it. I'll just go sleep it off.
And how often did that happen? Just the once?
That was just the once. It was like...
It's weird how some of it's routine. And then others are just sporadic.
So I'm thinking there must be ghosts of nurses, obviously, or doctors, or whatever, medical people, doing their rounds.
But it was
for that one. But that one sounds like it was a patient who was trying to get out of the place.
It felt nasty.
Yeah.
Oh my
Do you know
god.
what I mean? It really felt nasty. I mean, the other things that Rob and I used to do, because obviously we used to go and walk the dogs, and of an evening, ceremony of the keys starts, public start coming in at 9:30. They get taken to Traitors Gate. They're told to shut up, no cameras
All right.
or
Okay.
anything like that. And then the ceremony starts at 9:45, and the yeoman watchman comes down with his guard. They get to there. I don't know who comes here. Keys, past King's Keys, all free. Then they go underneath the arch up to up the steps, and so you've got the White Tower here, and you've got the parade ground, and they're there, and they're met by the officer that's on guard that night with his little lot, and then somebody plays the last post really, really badly because they're just throwing a trumpet or well bugle that day to play it. 10 o'clock, the chimes start, and then that's it. And then, the hats are raised, and it's God save whoever is on the throne at the time, and then that's it. Ceremony of the Keys is done. Out you go public, 9:05, 10, everybody's gone. So if you are outside of the tower and you live in the tower, if you're not back in the tower by 10, you have to wait until ceremony of keys is done.
Right. Okay.
Because obviously it's going on, and it's never stopped in nearly 800 years. So we'd be out walking the dogs, and we come back round, and obviously parts of the wharf get closed off as well. So at 9 o'clock, the east gates get closed, so you can't walk along the wharf as a general member of the general public. So obviously security reasons and things like that. So if, like for us, so as we couldn't come along the wharf to go back in, we'd have to walk all the way around. So you'd have to go up by Tower Hill and down. We'd be doing that regularly. Well, we were coming back one night, and there was it was about 9:15. So we were trying to get in before ceremony of keys started, and he was a really broad Texan, and he looked like a Texan, even though he didn't have a Stetson on, but he looked like
the tan face.
Yeah. And he had his daughter there who was about 15. He was saying, "I'm so sorry, Brittany. I thought, my meetings would end earlier today, and we could have had more time together before we fly out tomorrow to go meet Mum in Paris. But here's the tower. Look, we can read these bits here, because all around the top of the tower, you've got little placards that give you information about what you're looking at. Because obviously you've got Roman ruins there as well. And you can't see it from Tower Hill, but because the public are now allowed to go in the moat. So if you're on the moat and you're looking at Tower Hill tube station, there's a gridded section in the wall, and there's some bones and things in there of Romans that they believe were Romans or whatever. And they just leave them in place. And the amount of times that Brown Bum and Stinky used to get in between the bars and then come out with a bone, and like,
no.
bringing home a little bit of history there.
I do not want a femur, but thank you very much. Let's put this back. Where did you get this from? Back in. Just imagine archaeologists, in another 100 years. Oh, look, there's teeth marks on.
Just imagine, you're putting them bones back, and the leg,
Places.
he's got a leg here, and all messed up
in there, put back in. Well, anyway, he was trying to comfort his daughter, because obviously she'd waited around all day.
Missed the ceremony.
Missed being able to go into the tower.
Yeah.
And missed being able to do things with her dad, because he's obviously been in meetings that took longer than normal. And we heard this, and so we stopped and we said, "Excuse me, you're looking at the tower." Yeah. And Rob said, "Do you want to go to the ceremony of the keys? It starts in, it starts in half an hour, but we can get in and go." He said, "Really? Yeah. How can you do that? We live there. We can get you in." "You sure?" "Yeah, I'll get you in." We don't think he believed us, which is fine. But I also think he thought, 2-minute walk, even if, they can't get us in, it's a 2-minute walk. So, we're chatting to him, and we got to the gates, and Rob went like that, and they came up and let us in, and all the other general public are, "No, you go and come in yet." And this guy's like, "Wow, they really do live here." And Rob said, "Look, I'll nip into the Bywood and pick up some keys for a couple of the towers. We can't put the lights on, but we've got the low light, the red light in.
Yeah.
We can have a bit of a look around." He said, "Go in the Chapel Royal and have a look in there as well. Take you around, and we can do the ceremony of keys. Once the ceremony of keys are done, I'll take you around." I said, "Well, give me Brown Bum, and I'll go and put these back up inside, and I'll meet you for the ceremony of keys." So we met them for the ceremony of keys. That happened, and then Rob said, "Right, where to first?" "All right, we're right by the medieval tower. Come on, we'll go up into the medieval tower." So Rob unlocked. I mean, the medieval tower has been rearranged inside now. They've done it out more like I think it's more like a throne room now than it was before. So we took them up in there, and of course you got this red light, and there was a long table that obviously His Majesty, one of the Edwards, would have sat at with his knights or whatever, holding court or that. And there was a throne there as that, and then you've got a big fireplace. And I said, go sit behind the table, and I'll take a picture, because Rob's explaining what's going on in the tower and what it all is. And so they went and sat down, and I took a photo, flash sort of thing, off it went. And Rob said, right, well, we'll get out this one and we'll go up to the Chapel Royal, because that'd be a bit, I can put the lights on in the Chapel Royal. I can't really do it in the towers as such. He said, and then, we'll have a walk round and we'll go around the casemates, because the public don't get to see the casemates, because obviously it's where people live. But, we can go around there and show you, where some people were executed and, things like that. So I said, well, go on then, off you go. I'll follow out. And he said, sure. I said, yeah, I'll pull the door to, because I know the lock's going to be on it. He said, yeah, okay. So I've got 3 people sat at the table that have got 3 shadows. 3 people got up, 3 shadows left, 1 shadow stayed sitting. And I'm thinking, have I got flash eye or something? And I kid you not, I said, go on then, and you. And it got up and went. So I quickly went out of there and came down the stairs, and Rob said, you all right? I went, yeah, I'm fine.
Just sounds like a ghost.
He said, what? I said, no. I said, my shadow decided to be over there instead of behind me where it should have been. It's okay. It's like,
My God.
yeah.
How are you so calm with it, though? I'd be like, fuck this.
You just
See ya. I'm going.
You just got to be. It's just like, oh, yeah.
I tell you what, with all those memories and stories, you should write a book.
I started to write a book about my life in the Tower of London, not Rob's life, not Marnie's life, my life.
A yeoman wife's life.
What it was like for me.
Can I stop you? Why do they call them Beefeaters then?
Oh, okay.
I've been dying to ask that, but we were too busy in ghost stories.
And we'll come back to the book. Just as that.
Right. Nobody actually really knows. No, there's nothing written down as to the reason why they're called Beefeaters, but they believe that they were called Beefeaters because they were the personal guard of His Majesty.
They got beef to eat.
They got the best food.
They got the best cook.
Like the aristocracy did. And they think that that it came from either that or, again, because they were the guard of the monarchy, they had a dagger so they could go along and get the meat, as much meat onto their daggers.
All right, me just pile up, yeah.
Yeah.
You get 1 fork.
Right, okay.
So they've got, so it's like, it was either a derogative term like, oh, those bloody beef eaters, because they're nicking all the beef, or it's, here comes the beef eaters, because they're, that's what they have. So they think it was that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So going back to it, life as a yeoman's wife.
Yeah, I started to write it because it was like, oh, well, I don't know if I wanted to publish it, or I still don't know really, or whether I just want to put it down so that our grandchildren know what it's like. Because the amount of times that you've got, I mean, yourselves, you've listened to grandparents, you listen to aunties and uncles and great aunties and uncles. And it's, I remember when great uncle so-and-so did this, and you're like, no, you didn't. Along the lines and along the years, the story gets misheard.
Chinese whispers.
So I thought, if I put it down in writing now, what I felt when I was there, what I thought it was like, what I experienced, and whoever comes in our family after us can go, oh, look, that's what it was like when Granny was there, or when Great-Granny was there, or Great-Great-Granny.
You have got to write down your knee story and the tucking in the bed and the Sasha windows. You've got to write all them down.
I've been doing little bits and then going back to it and looking at it going, I need to reword that.
Yeah, sometimes you just put it down and go, that's what it is. You don't need to put in chronicle order.
It's like,
stories.
You got to see,
just a random story.
This is all the celebrities you got to see there.
Yeah.
Because they'd hold events.
Who was the big one? Who's the big one?
King Charles or Queen?
No, apart from the royalty, but who?
I met
pop
them
star.
and dined with them way before.
Really?
Who was the biggest pop star? I guess it's a pop show.
Star? Oh, God.
But if you do like...
Or actor, actress.
Yeah, but if you're doing the Princess Trust, you're going to meet Roger Daltrey and stuff like that, aren't
Well,
you?
Princess Trust were there. Obviously, Rob and I are in Canada because we're buying our house.
Missed that one then, didn't you?
Marnie's in the moat, walking, Brown Bun and Stinky in the moat. And obviously you've got some of the performers there that, they're practicing for the night to come and what have you. And Marnie's just not really taking much notice of them because they, for whatever reason, she just wasn't really taking much notice. Perhaps they weren't the latest band or something that she was hoping was going to be there or something. But she said a woman came up to her and was just asking about the dogs. And Marnie said, oh, this one's, Branston Brown Bun, Stinky. And she said, oh, yeah. And she walked with Marnie around the moat. She said, oh, where you going? I'm going over here and I'm going to go. Walk with them. And they were just chatting. And we got back and Marnie was telling us this. And I said, so who was it? She said, oh, Annie someone or other. And I said, what do you mean Annie someone?
Isn't that spooky? No, this is spooky shit now. Because I was upstairs before and all of a sudden...
I came round a bit early because I wanted to make sure I was here.
And I was just like, and I went, you know what? I've not heard Annie Lennox for ages. And I put Annie Lennox on. And then he walked through the door, he went, It was just old trollop his attics. You know who it was? And that was it. It was Annie Lennox.
Yeah, well, I can't around Annie Lennox was.
So, yes.
It's Annie somewhere.
Spooky.
Annie who? Who? She said, oh, I don't know. She sings for Eurythmics. And she said, yeah, that's the one, Eurythmics. I went, Annie Lennox was walking. She said, yeah, she held Stinky for me. And, she was walking Stinky and saying that, isn't he pretty and isn't he lovely? And he was matching what she was wearing because she was all in the
See,
white.
that's what you do. And then when the dog dies, you put it in the cage and went touched by Annie Lennox.
She was quite up personal with Annie Lennox. Every year, well, at least when we were there, he used to have music in the moat. And the first year we were there, it was one day was opera and the next day was jazz. That was the theme for 2 weeks. And the opera was about Anne Boleyn, and the amount of people that would come up to you afterwards and say, oh, wasn't that lovely? And do you know I'm a relative? And you're like, really? Right. Oh, yes, I'm the great. Oh, you're the great granddad. It's funny, isn't it? So why aren't you on the throne?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The amount of people that would say that and come demand to go and see somebody because they're the relative. Yes, I'm Catherine Howard's great. She never had any kids, love.
So you're quite a historian yourself, then?
Well, you get used to it,
Yeah.
I mean, like you're saying, the pop people, the jazz year, Humphrey Lyttelton, bless him, he was brilliant. Alison Moyet.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, bit of a schoolboy crush there, Alison.
Claire Teal, if you ever get to listen to her, she used to be a Radio 2 DJ for a bit.
Who's that?
Claire Teal.
Right.
She's really good. That Katie Mueller.
Yep.
With her 1 million bicycles. Yeah, I've got to see her, chat with her. And then, Swing Out Sister.
Right. Sister. Yeah.
They were good. And then the following year, it was Pet Shop Boys.
Our Neil there.
Really good. He's going to kill me if he ever watches this, but I don't care. The Pet Shop Boys were on for 2 nights, and we had VIP tickets. So Rob and I went to the first night, Marnie and I think it was Kerry, goddaughter. They went to the second night.
Is this a second boyfriend?
No, Kerry's our goddaughter.
I'll say that. Thought I'd be a boyfriend because he must have floated when the ghosts come.
Kerry, our goddaughter. You always knew when Kerry was in, because one, the dogs wouldn't be in the place because she would have taken them out for a walk. There'd be a Playboy handbag on the coffee table, and your cupboards would be empty because she would have gone through them and everything. Yeah. She's one of these that's like this. So we went to see the Pet Shop Boys the first night, and we got our seats, and I think we were like third row back. We sat there, and I'm watching other people come in, and Gary Rhodes came in with David Williams.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Right?
Few name dropping there.
I'm not joking. The pair of them had on sky blue Bry nylon safari suits.
Like dumber.
And I'm looking at him, and of course Gary Rhodes at the time,
spiky hair,
hair, and I'm looking at him going, you really are short, aren't you?
Gary Rhodes was a
God,
chef.
You take away that hair, you've got to be, 3'2"? Jesus, you are so short.
Was he that small? Yeah.
Like a Smurf.
Seen it, absolutely tight. And then, of course, you've got David Williams up here somewhere.
6 foot.
And, we're sitting down, and it's filling up, and I'm looking around because I knew a couple of people from work had tickets, and I was laughing at them because you're in the unwashed seats, you're with the unwashed, at the back there, and it's like waving. I'm going, I'm here, you're there, yeah, I like this. I sat down and filling up, and Rob starts looking around, and then he looks at me and he said, "Is it me? Or is there a lot of gay people here?" And I said, "Are you pulling?" Because he pulls your leg all the time. You never know if he's taking the mickey or whatever. And I said, "Are you being serious?" He said, "I am." He said, "I said, oh, wind your neck in, And then, of course, Pet Shop Boys come on, and music starts, and people get up and they're starting dancing. And he nudges me again. There's an awful lot. I said, "Do you not know that they are a gay band?" I said, "They're what?" I said, "They are a gay band." He said, "What? They're big in the gay clubs." I said, "No, they are a gay band. Together, they are gay." He's like, "Really? I didn't know that." I was like, "Jesus, how long you been on this earth?"
They were known for showing the buttocks on the Pet Shop.
The song "I'll Pay Your Rent." Did that not give it away?
Yeah, and I'm looking at him in amazement, thinking, all the things you've done in your life, where you've been, what you've done, what you've got up to, and you're asking me that.
And his gay dads off.
Certain things that stare you right in the face, and you can't see the wood for the trees.
I said to him, "What gave it away?" And he said, "Well, I think it's the guys there that have got like the jingly, spangly stuff, and they're quite friendly." I said, "Yeah, they were big on."
That's David Williams.
Well, let's say he does some weird dancing, that man.
Yeah, I can imagine. He skirts close to the line. Let's put it that way.
He does, yes. But yeah, we had the Pet Shop Boys with Dionne Warwick. She was really good. Randy Newman, I loved Randy Newman. I know not a lot of people know Randy Newman. He's known more for his songwriting for other people. Yeah.
He did Toy Stories. Was that Van
He's
Diemen?
not.
Yeah, I think so.
Van
He
Diemen.
did a few film scores.
He's
didn't
got a song that he does, and he did it there, and it made me laugh. It's called "I Don't Like Short People."
This one goes out. This one goes out to Gary Rhodes.
I don't like short people. Like I say, James Brown. Not that he sang a lot. He got other people to do the singing, and he'd go behind.
He just did a.
Yeah. I did actually think that Gary Rhodes and David Williams had come on the wrong night because James Brown was up there in the sky blue. I thought they'd come in honour of him, you know.
Yeah.
No, who else was there? Heavens, loads of them. You just get to see quite a few of those. And then as for, you know, like normal celebrities, want to call them normal celebrities, Marnie and I were walking out to get a takeout one night, and I think the Lord Taverners or the Rats or whatever they are, Lord Rats or something.
Yeah.
They were in, and Sir Tim Rice was there, and he is really tall. I knew he was tall, but I didn't realise he was like
Sir Tim Rice.
he was that tall. And I said, Marnie said, "Who's that?" I said, "That's Sir Tim Rice." And she said, "Who?" I said, "Oh, Cats." And she said, "Right, okay, yeah." And she said, "Who's that orange woman sat down there?" And I said, "That's Judith Chalmers."
Oh yeah.
And she is orange.
My God, you went back. You're going back a few years there.
Like, she's that orange.
Right, I can
She's the ginger nut orange. She was that orange. Dan Aykroyd, I've seen Dan Aykroyd. He's just been in, you know, to just come in for the day. Who else has been in? Oh, Rob used to do, the Young and Warders. They would do like special tours, which people could write in and say, would you mind if we could have a special tour, as in we could get shown around before all the general public come in because we haven't got time or whatever, and we'll give so much to charity.
And we posh.
And I was at home convalescing from an op, and Rob had one of these special tours to go out and do. And he went out and he did this special tour, and he came back for a cup of coffee after he finished the special tour. And I said, "What was it like?" He said, "Really nice guy, really nice wife, nice kids, lovely family." Dropped him off at the cafe there. They were just going to grab a cup, go to the shop, and then they were off because they had to get themselves off to Heathrow because they're flying back to the States today. And I said, "Who was it then?" He said, "Oh, Rob Lowe." And I went, "You what? Where's Rob Lowe? I'm off. Where's Rob Lowe?" And Rob's like, "No, you stay there. You're not running."
Like if he came home, he just comes home in his uniform.
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah."
Just come home in his uniform for a cuppa. Yeah.
Yeah, we actually brought some. We'll take some pictures.
We'll take some photographs.
We'll take some photos, and they're absolutely beautiful and they're amazing.
Yeah.
Then the weight of them, it's just like, and if you're carrying them on all day, you just want to go. You didn't feel the weight of them, did you?
No, not yet.
It's like 4 coats, heavy coats in one.
Now, I am taking my daughter trick-or-treating. I don't have a costume. Could I dress up?
I tell you something, right?
Well, I may have let you if you hadn't have used the word costume, because they're not costumes.
No.
That's you done, mate. That's it.
I said I don't have a costume.
Yeah, it's not a costume, it's uniform.
Uniform.
So you're going to you should write a book about being a yeoman's wife. I think you should put your memoirs down there because, like you say, someone's going to read. I mean, we've been listening to you and like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But in years to come, somebody's going to pick that up, a family member, if nothing else, and read it and go, Gran did that? Gran saw this?
And also to know that Grandad's name is up in the Bible Tower on the wall
exactly.
as a young warder, and that they can get married at any time in
can they?
Chapel Royal St. Peter.
Oh, wow. That's one of the perks of the job, eh?
Yeah, because they're our generation, they're...
Now, before we came on air tonight, we were talking and you briefly mentioned that you have done some research into the Whitechapel. So we're going to close with this one a little bit, I think, Ken. So what drew you to the Whitechapel murders and why? What's driven you to want to write about it?
I've always been interested.
And for people, sorry to interrupt you, for people who don't know, can you a brief description about what the Whitechapel murders is?
Well, I call them the Whitechapel murders. Most people would call them Jack the Ripper, who is 1888, known for supposedly 5 horrendous murders of ladies of the night in Whitechapel, East End, London.
The first serial killer of the UK, wasn't he?
Supposedly.
Yeah.
Yeah, supposedly. I've always been interested in it, always. Plus, I like Johnny Depp in From Hell. I also like the Michael Caine one with Lewis Collins.
Johnny Depp, Rob Lowe. I'm seeing a thing here now. Okay.
He got to take Kiefer Sutherland round as well, and I couldn't believe it. And Madonna.
What? She sounds like a bitter woman here coming through, isn't it?
I am. He did get to tell Woody Allen off, so I was...
Okay, fair enough.
The Whitechapel murders, I've always been interested in them because the first thing that you think is, Well, it's Whitechapel. People get killed all the time there. And women, ladies of the night, women that sold themselves for the need of having to sell themselves because, so it's a poor area, it's crammed.
Yeah.
They needed to have money, to survive, just to eat, for day to day, that sort of thing, let alone bring up their kids or whatever. It's a really rough profession. I mean, it's even a rough profession today, but I mean, you can imagine back then.
Laws were a lot more slack.
And when you think about it, Whitechapel and the Tower of London is the city of London.
Yeah,
it's the true city.
Heart.
It's the 1 square mile city of London. Everything else around it isn't London. That's just the London or Greater London. That is the city of London. And it was hit or miss as to whether the police really cared if anything happened to you. It's like, well, you're doing that. Who cares? So I started thinking about it years and even before we got to the tower. And the thing that used to go around in my mind was, can't believe that it was only 5. And why would they start and then end so abruptly? Because the murders didn't end so abruptly. The women still carried on getting killed on the streets. But for some reason...
These 5 were linked for somehow.
Well, they were either linked or it just wasn't newsworthy enough anymore. Something happened and it wasn't newsworthy enough. So, I had that going around in the back of my head. I'm also of the generation that grew up at Christmas. You had the specials with the 2 Ronnies and they used to do little cereals.
Yeah. I remember the 2 Ronnies.
And one of them was the Phantom Raspberry Blower of Old London Town, which was their take on Jack the Ripper. It was a Mickey take of it. Well, anyway, we moved to the tower and Rob's in his working dress and they also have a cape for it as well. My husband moves quickly. He always has done. Don't give him caffeine. He already does everything at 100 miles an hour. You don't need him caffeinated as well. So if he was talking to you and then he had to go somewhere else, he would turn really quickly. And every time he turned really quickly, the petals on you'll see the pictures, you'll see it, but the petals on his uniform would swirl round. And if he had his cloak on, the cloak would swirl and you'd see the inside of the cloak and it'd be this red satin. And with the Tudor bonnet that you're wearing, I just instantly thought of the Phantom
Raspberry Blower
of Old London Town. And I started thinking, hang on a minute, I wonder how far we are from Whitechapel. How quick it would take us to get, to walk from here to Whitechapel. It takes 8 minutes. And that's modern time.
With traffic and everything else,
Back then, you had all the little alleyways that you haven't got now.
Secret places.
You had all those. And so I started thinking, well, hang on a minute. What's all the myths about so-called Jack the Ripper, that he was something to do with the royal family? Well, yeomans are part of the royal household. They're in a palace. They are special constables. It's written into their warrant that they're given when they become yeoman warders. It's also written into their warrant that they can't be arrested or detained. And the myth is, that the police would never, stop this one because it was one of their own or whatever. And then it was, that must be a Mason. Well, sorry, mates, back at the Tower of London, if there's anybody still there that knows us, but 99% of you are Masons. So there's that as well. I'm not saying you carry around all your Mason stuff and whatever, but, if you were going to a lodge meeting or something and you've got your little case with all your bits in, it could look like a doctor's bag in the light. I mean, it would have been back then in the 1880s, grimy light, gas light, soot everywhere, noise, dust, grime.
Fog off the time.
Yeah, everything.
So you're saying it could be...
Well, and then they said, he seemed to disappear so quickly. Well, you can get in it. The yeomans could get in and out of the tower anytime.
Yeah.
And their uniform changed from the state dress the red, to the working dress in 1854. So if they just took their tabard off, which is the top layer, and went out in their trousers, which has got the cavalry stripe down, because some people said it was soldiers, and obviously the tower had a garrison there, you could mistake them for being a soldier with the cavalry stripe down there. If they had their cloak on and their Tudor bonnet, or they could be mistaken for a gentleman that was down there.
Because they always said Jack the Ripper had a cloak and a top hat and was very well-to-do.
And that's why he pulled them in, isn't it?
They said he was a gentleman because of how they thought they saw him dressed.
Yeah.
Well, if you go online and just look at, yeoman warders in their cloaks and their Tudor bonnets, and then you can then put that in bad lighting, smog, dirt, grime, everything else, and it's late at night. What do you expect?
So go on.
So there must be other people that thought about this as well, or is it just...
I don't know. I've looked and I haven't been able to, all these websites of Ripperologists.
Ripperologist.
I know. got an ology. He's a scientist. Sorry, sorry, Lippman.
No, BT.
Yeah, got an ology. I've not seen any mention of them.
So if you're going to do a book, was it going to be a fictional book, or is this a
Conspiracy
research book? What's your thought?
It's a bit of both.
Fact and fiction.
Yeah, I started
together.
writing. I've started writing it. I've written it quite a few times actually, and edited it, and re-edited it, and gone. Oh, do I want to go this way? Do I want to go that way? Do I want to go the way of the guys have got PTSD? Because that would explain how they just
Went off on
one at certain times. If they were a yeoman warder, that would explain why they supposedly suddenly stopped after November in 1888, because the yeoman warder retired and left the tower. Because once you retire, you have to leave the tower. So would have moved away. However, if you look at where some of the yeoman warder, that I'm not saying they were, so don't get on your high horses, whoever's listening to this. I'm saying it's a possibility. Just look at it and think about it. It could have even been somebody that lived with them, because some of them had servants. Did you know that? Some of them had servants?
Borrowed their cloak and their hat.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
But these guys, if you look at the murders and look at the murders that continued afterwards, if we're going to believe it was a serial killer, they say that serial killers start off and then just get worse and worse and worse and worse. Well, after November 1888, one of the yeoman warders moved to the Poplar area, which isn't that far away from Whitechapel. But suddenly, torsos were being found of people. And then after a few years, that stopped. So could it have been a yeoman warder that was doing that? And then he progressed onto torso, people, and then taking it apart and stuff like that, and then died or whatever? Or could it be a few of them?
I was thinking that.
I was going to say, what if there's more than one that's been doing this?
What if it's like a group of them?
Well, if you read the coroner's reports, and I've read I've read the coroner's
Have you really?
Yeah, I've read them all.
Oh, wow.
I've read the coroner's reports. I've read the reports in the newspapers of the coroner's reports. And it's funny how nothing really got an interest and got the public going until about really the second one, or the second official one, because you had Martha Turner or Talbot or Turnbull, because nobody can decide on her surname at the minute. She was in August. Some of the ripperologists now count her as the first one, so there's now 6. But there was one in April, and then there was one in March, but she didn't die until the end of March from her injuries. Right. And if you look at the injuries, some of the women had bits taken away from them. And you've got to be a surgeon and a really good surgeon to know in the dark where you're going and things. I'm sorry, but the supposed last one, Mary Kelly, I don't think anybody needed to be a surgeon on that one. What was left of her? Really? You could have stabbed anywhere, and.
So there was no real pattern then. So it makes you wonder, maybe there was more than one then. Or maybe there's linked them all together for convenience.
A hype, because there was the Victorians used to like trying out new things. And one of the new things, they weren't as prim and proper as everybody thinks they are for a start. But one of the things that they used to like doing was slumming it. They used to like going to all the deprived areas and
pretending they were one of them.
No.
One of the common people.
No. They'd turn up in carriages and in the gentlemen, because they wanted to see what it was like. They thought it was good, and then they could go and have a good laugh about it when they got back home and mix in with everyone. So
maybe they just linked them together for sensationalism.
I think so.
I think storytelling.
I think it was a hype.
And there's nothing that's what sells things in it, newspapers or, it's sensation.
I mean, you got this, it's surfaced again. Oh, yeah, we've definitive. We found the DNA of the Ripper because we've got this shawl that's got blood on it and that.
After all these years?
Yeah, that came up, got to be a good 6-7 years ago, and then it's come up again. But if you actually go into it, that shawl has been tested. And the person that supposedly held onto it for all this time, that is meant to be the Ripper, didn't have that shawl in the first place. It was somebody else. And you can't prove that the blood on it is from a murder victim at that time that they were murdered. It could have been blood from anything.
I can't wait to read in the papers in like 5 years' time. Expat Heather solves Jack the Ripper case.
I'm not saying it is a yeoman warder. I just think it's really funny that they were never looked at or officially looked at. There's no documents to say they were looked at. And yet the police came to the tower and got the whole garrison out that were there and took one of the supposed witnesses to go up and down, seeing if she could find one of the soldiers that her friend was out with the night before. Well, why don't you turn around and look at the yeoman behind you?
Yeah.
Because people always think, it couldn't have been a yeoman because they're all old. And that no, they weren't.
Yeah.
They're anything from like 35 to maybe 50, 55.
I certainly think there's a book there then, Heather. I think there's something there.
Yeah, I think I'm on my 6th writing.
Sixth draft.
Okay, well,
it's been fascinating.
it's been fantastic.
Anything else you want to ask me?
Yeah. So in fact, I've got some gingers.
Oh yeah, okay. That's your favourite biscuit.
Oh, okay.
So because you're deep in the heart, the British, right? Just do a survey. Would you go for the ginger biscuit, digestive, or a rich tea? Suspense is killing me now.
Morning times it's ginger nuts. Rich tea is an afternoon.
My God, there we go.
And a digestive, I'm sorry, it's a late Friday night or a late Saturday night with a bit of cheese.
Yeah. Oh, a bit of cheese. I like a bit of peanut butter on digestive. I've got 2 very serious questions then before we finish off.
Go.
Okay, first one.
I prefer chocolate digestive.
Oasis or Blur?
Oh, yeah.
I've got both. I've got both bands' discography. Sorry, I like
It
both.
doesn't.
So you've got to pick one.
You got
then.
to
Yeah, we had this conversation last week. If you had to wipe one of them off the face of the earth forever, would you wipe Blur or Oasis?
Can I just wipe
No,
partially one
no,
of them?
no,
off?
no.
Leave
no.
Stanley and
Come on, let's just do it. This is our show, our rules. You play by them. What is it? Blur,
Oasis.
Damon.
Oasis.
You're wiping Oasis off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Well, that concludes our show today, then, doesn't it?
Nice meeting you then, Heather.
They won't be coming back for your book.
Okay.
Because they're manky.
That, I was going to say it's the north-south divide coming
Okay.
through.
Definitely,
And
innit?
so I've got one other question for
sorry.
you. One other question.
Hang on, you do know I'm Scottish, don't you?
You were born in Devon, weren't you?
I only grew up in Devon.
Oh, right.
God, you couldn't get further away, could you?
I know, and I've got this wonderful accent. I'm the only one of the grandchildren with this accent.
Oh, yeah, no,
Okay,
I
so
didn't know. you were
one
from
other
Scotland.
question then. Okay.
Dental
And this is
trade,
quite a
yeah.
serious question. And this goes back to an early episode that we recorded.
Got me worried now.
When you're in the shower,
I knew it was going to be that one.
do you wash your legs or do you rely on the trickle-down effect?
No, I wash them because... No, I'm not going to go into that.
The ghost washes them.
Okay. Can we-
No, I do wash them. No, I was going to say, you should wash your legs.
no, I'm more of a trickle-down.
I'm a
We trickle downers.
Yeah.
All right, I've got a... Sod it, I'm a Scottish wife. I'm going to ask it. If you're a trickle-down effect
Yeah.
and
yeah.
you're blokes
Yeah.
and you're showering in the morning,
Yeah.
are you going to tell me that you lot don't pee in the shower first thing then?
No.
No, I've never
No.
been.
If you're going to say that you're using the trickle down, I think you should use some soap and water.
Kick it around till it goes, don't you?
That's a part 2 of that
Okay.
question. While
So
you're in the
that's
shower,
it.
do you actually pee in the shower as
There we
well?
go. So,
Heather's lowered the tone.
yeah, there we go.
I'll shower.
Well, it's been fantastic. Thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed it. Yeah, it's been awesome. I love it.
And like I say, we're going to take some pictures of the uniforms. Not uniforms.
Yeah,
you-
It's him. It was him with his
Because I mixed up the whole Halloween
costumes.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no.
outfits.
So yeah, you get your hat to keep
Oh, thank you.
as a bonus.
So, and we'll put this on air for next
Yeah.
Friday, I think.
Next
We'll
Friday.
be on for the Halloween special.
Halloween special.
I'll tell you one more spooky thing before I go.
Go on then, please.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Go on. Let's
Go
finish it with.
This didn't happen to us, but it happened to a friend of ours that lived there, and who was there at the same time.
Mhm.
And he moved from where he was into the casemates because of this. He and his wife and son used to live in one of the little cottages next to the Queen's house on Tower Green there. And the cottages you don't get the whole cottage, you get like the bottom part or the top part. Right? Anyway, his son was about 9 years old at the time. Ray got up to get himself a glass of water, and he noticed the front door was open. It was like, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, what the hell's the front door doing? And he peered out, and on the green, he could see his son playing on the green, as if he was playing with a couple of kids. And
And how old was his son?
his son was 9.
9. Okay.
And he thought, oh. So he got himself a glass of water, put the glass down on the sink, the draining board, went out onto the green to grab his son and said, come on, son. What are you doing? Oh, I'm playing. Who are you playing? I'm just playing with my friends. I'm playing with Richie and I'm playing with Eddie. And Ray's going through his head, Richie and Eddie. Who the hell have got sons here, Richie and Eddie? I can't think of anybody that's got sons. Perhaps somebody's got their grandkids here, I said, tell them they need to go to bed now as well. Come on, back to bed. Play with them tomorrow in the morning. Well, come back to bed. And so his son turns around and says, night, Richie, night, Eddie. Ray takes him in, sends his son up to bed. And then as his son's going up, he said, hang on a minute. Who's their parents? Who's their grandparents? Oh, no, you don't know their grandparents. Their parents are dead. Okay, I can't remember. Anyway, goes back into the kitchen because, as Ray said, he's half asleep himself because it's early in the morning. Picks his glass up, wipes it, puts it on his dresser, and then turns around, looks out on the green, and then goes, "Oh my God, Richard and Edward. It's the little princes."
Wow.
And with that, the glass that he put on his dresser flew past his ear and smashed into the sink.
Really?
So Richard and Edward were not happy that he had put his little boy back in to stop playing with them. So how's about that for a bit?
Oh my God.
So Ray moved his family. He managed to get a place in the casemates.
I made it.
I'd be
Oh, yeah, so he was sensible. He moved.
Moved.
That's sensible.
Unlike yourself, who decided to stay there with your kinky knee habit.
Living next to the Queen.
Hey,
Even when you live next to the Queen, not going to cut that one, is it?
But, what's got to do with
What was your
Hey, well,
what was your postal address, by the way? Just before we go, what was it? Was it the Tower of London or?
AB? And if you punch it in, it doesn't come up. And when you tell people and you're ordering takeouts, and they, that you give them their postcode, they're like, yeah, it doesn't come up. Where you live? Tower of London. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, Water Street. You know where Water Street is? Yeah, I know where Water Street is. Right.
There's a big building at the end of it. Looks like a tower.
You know where the pass office is for the tower? Yeah, I'll meet you there.
Really? He has got beyond telling people.
Amazon's still going round and round and round.
Amazon drivers will be throwing the parcels at the front gate, though.
I soon cottoned on to phoning Tesco's.
Yeah.
And going on the internet and getting them to deliver my order, because then they could carry all the bloody shopping up the stairs and into
There we go.
the van.
Smart thinking.
The size van that they could use, because you can only use certain vans to get under the
Under
arches,
the, yeah.
and the times that they could deliver.
Wow.
There we go.
None of that Thursday after 12 sometime. No, this is when it is. I am Heather.
Yeah.
And there you have it.
And my mum, a few months ago, said, "Oh yeah, I've just started a brilliant service that I've just started getting them to deliver." I'm like, "Mum, they've been going 20 odd years. Why you've only just started?"
Well, it's been a pleasure.
It's been fantastic. Thank you.
Meet you.
Yeah, you too.
On that note, it's goodbye from Heather.
Ta-ra.
It's goodbye from him.
And it's goodbye from us.
You have to think about that.
Yeah, I was like, this is out of tune.
See you next time.
Yep. Bye-bye.